Every century has its inventions that change the world. Some bring light, electricity, antibiotics, flight. Others bring shadow. Few inventions have altered human conflict as profoundly as a single rifle, built not in luxury laboratories, but in a recovering Soviet Union by a wounded tank sergeant named Mikhail Kalashnikov. The AK-47 was never meant to be a symbol. It was meant to be a tool, simple, cheap, and reliable. Yet today, its outline is more recognizable than any flag. From deserts to jungles, from rebels to soldiers, the AK-47 has become the universal face of modern war. Both the weapon of the people and the weapon that would never die. 1941. The Eastern Front is a furnace. The German Wehrmacht is advancing deep into Soviet territory. Amidst the chaos, a 22-year-old tank commander, Mikhail Kalashnikov, is seriously wounded near Bryansk. During months of recovery, he listens to his comrades' frustration, rifles jamming, parts breaking, ammunition clogging. Kalashnikov, a self-taught mechanic, begins sketching solutions. The Soviet Union, meanwhile, is watching Germany's new invention, the STG-44 Sturmgewehr, the first assault rifle. It fires an intermediate cartridge, giving soldiers both automatic fire and mid-range accuracy. To the Soviets, this is revolutionary, the future of infantry combat. By 1945, the war ends, but the arms race continues. The USSR orders new rifles built around the 7.62 by 39 mm cartridge. Kalashnikov's prototype enters trials against designs by Bulkin and Dementiev. His advantage isn't elegance, it's reliability. Dust, ice, mud. It keeps firing. In 1949, the Red Army officially adopts it as the Avtomat Kalashnikova Model 1947. The world would soon call it the AK-47. At first glance, the AK-47 looks crude. Wood, steel, rivets. But its genius lies in what it doesn't have: unnecessary precision. It uses a long-stroke gas piston, a piston that drives the bolt carrier back with tremendous force, ensuring extraction even when fouled. The receiver is simple, stamped from sheet steel, meaning even basic factories can build it. The curved magazine isn't an aesthetic choice. It perfectly fits the tapered cartridge, feeding smoothly under stress. The rifle's tolerances are loose. That sounds like a flaw, but it's its secret weapon. Dirt can enter, but the system keeps running. Soldiers can strip and reassemble it, blindfolded in under a minute. And the parts? Interchangeable, repairable in the field. Unlike Western rifles that demanded constant maintenance, the AK demanded only one thing: ammunition. It was not the prettiest weapon, but it was the one that survived. In the 1950s, the AK-47 begins its second life as an instrument of ideology. The Cold War divides the planet, and the Soviet Union recognizes that influence can travel not only through diplomats, but through weapons crates. Blueprints are shared with Warsaw Pact nations: Poland, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Hungary. Factories in China begin producing the Type 56, a clone of the AK-47. As anti-colonial movements sweep across Asia and Africa, Moscow supplies rifles to allies and revolutionaries alike. By the 1960s, photographs show AKs in every conflict: Cuban revolutionaries in the Sierra Maestra, Viet Cong soldiers in the jungles of Vietnam, Angolan fighters in dusty trenches. It became the equalizer of the modern age, a weapon that turned farmers into soldiers and small movements into armies. Meanwhile, the West responded with its own symbol: The M16, high-tech, lightweight, but finicky. On battlefields from Saigon to Kabul, these two rifles faced each other. More than weapons, they were ideologies made of steel. The AK-47 wasn't just a tool, it became a language. It spoke of defiance, of revolution. In Mozambique, it's printed on the national flag. In Zimbabwe, it's carved into monuments. For oppressed peoples, the rifle symbolized empowerment. For governments, it symbolized fear. Its silhouette appeared on propaganda posters, on murals, and even on hip-hop album covers decades later. The world began to recognize the rifle not by its name, but by its shape. Yet for all its symbolism, the AK-47 was still doing what it was made for: firing bullets. Civil wars, revolutions, border conflicts, from the Middle East to Central America, were fought with it. By the 1980s, over 40 countries were manufacturing AK variants. Cheap, dependable, and deadly, it had become the most widely produced firearm on Earth. With popularity came consequences. The AK-47 flooded black markets. In Africa, it could be traded for a goat. In the Balkans, for a pack of cigarettes. It armed both rebels and dictators, peacekeepers and warlords. Children barely old enough to speak learned to strip and fire it. The same simplicity that made it efficient for soldiers made it deadly for civilians. More than 250,000 deaths every year are linked, directly or indirectly, to AK pattern rifles. Mikhail Kalashnikov lived long enough to see this transformation. Near the end of his life, he wrote a letter to the Orthodox Church. "I am haunted by the fact that my invention causes death. I created it to defend my country, not to arm criminals." It is the eternal paradox of the engineer. You design for defense, but you cannot control what the world will do with your creation. In 1959, the AKM replaced the original. Lighter, cheaper, stamped metal. Then came the AK-74 with its 5.45 mm bullet, faster, flatter, more controllable. By the 1980s, the Kalashnikov family of rifles included dozens of derivatives: AK-100 series, bullpup conversions, even sniper adaptations. But the spirit of the weapon never changed. Simplicity, reliability, ubiquity. Engineers in the West studied it, not to copy it, but to understand why it never failed. Even NATO operators have admitted, "If I had to go into battle with only one rifle and no maintenance, I'd take the AK." Today, the AK lives on in new forms, with polymer stocks, rails, optics, even digital fire control. But the DNA is unmistakable. Kalashnikov's signature lives in every moving part. The AK-47 embodies humanity's greatest contradictions. It is the invention of a man who loved his country, and a weapon that outlived the country itself. It gave voice to revolutions, yet silenced millions. It empowered the weak, yet fueled endless violence. Artists paint it. Children play with its toy replicas. Nations worship or outlaw it. Its story is a reminder that technology is never moral by itself. Morality lies in how we use it. In the end, the AK-47 became more than a weapon. It became a mirror, reflecting both the ingenuity and the madness of mankind. In museums, it rests beside tanks and planes, yet still fires on battlefields around the world. For some, it is heritage. For others, horror. But one thing is certain: no other firearm has ever changed history like this one. The AK-47, the gun that changed the world.